Simply Tammy.
It's a blessing that I'm here, I'm alive. No, I never ever have to cry, cause it's something I know will always work for me on my side. Not a thing I even have to fight, All things work together for my good. Life speaks if you listen, it might be sound. Watch the love come alive. Sharing the truth that inspires, Sharing the truth that inspires, Sharing the truth that inspires. All things work together for my good. Life speaks if you listen, it might be sound. Watch the joy come alive, watch the joy come alive. Sharing the truth that inspires.
Inspired to love, inspired to grow, inspired to heal, inspired to live. Simply Tammy.
Hello, welcome back for another episode of the Simply Tammy Show. I am your host, Simply Tammy, and I'm excited to invite you for another episode of Life Speaks. These particular episodes help us celebrate the stories of people who can note moments in their life where God's divine providence prevailed. So I have with us today a local business owner. She's an HR and diversity professional in the upstate. She has impacted many, many lives by speaking, teaching in the area of HR and diversity. And we're going to get to learn more about her journey and her story here today. So help me welcome to the Simply Tammy Show, Ava Smith. Hello, hello, Ava.
Hello, I'm so glad to be here.
Thank you, and thank you so much for saying yes. I never take it for granted that people have so many other things that they can be doing, so many other places that they can be, but to take the time, to carve out the time to come have a conversation with me and share your journey, I greatly, greatly appreciate it. So
I'm very honored that you invited me.
Thank you. So when I think about people and their journey and who we know them to be today, I always like to go back from the beginning. So my first question that I've asked a few people, and I'll ask you, what did little Ava dream of?
Little Ava just really dreamed of a normal life. So I found out around age 2 that I was legally blind and went through a cycle of many years of eye issues, glaucoma, pain, bullying, the whole 9 yards. So my early journey was just to be a normal kid. That was my hope in life. And so I'm glad that, eventually I ended up normal. It was more, early adolescent years, but that was my hope. I didn't have an occupation in mind. I just wanted to be normal.
Wow. That is interesting because I remember you sharing with me that you had a diagnosis of being legally blind, and I don't know why. Having known you over the years, I never knew that until I remember you started sharing some of the journeys you were having with procedures. So I thought this was just something that just happened. I didn't realize that it had been a part of your life all this time. I would have never known from knowing you.
Very deep. I was told when I was 9 years old I would be blind by the time I was 10. So I had a very pointed, small window of time in my mind to try to have a life. So I feel very blessed that I've had a full life, even with limitations. I'm able to function and be the person that I am today. So that's why I love to share my journey. I want people to know that you can overcome.
Wow. So knowing that, because again, I didn't know that it had been since childhood. How did those words shape your journey? Because apparently you rose above everything that was spoken over you.
So it's funny that, part of your wanting to convey to people is that pivotal moment in their life. As a child, the pivotal moment for me was sitting in that chair and hearing you're going to be blind by the time that you're 10. However, God is great. That was, on a Friday, let's say. That Sunday I went to church and our elder did a sermon on having faith the size of a mustard seed. And he described what that looked like. And I grew up Pentecostal, so, it was before you went out the door, anybody got a prayer request? And so I raised my hand and I went up and shared the diagnosis. And I said, but I have faith the size of a mustard seed.
Yes.
And so they rallied around me and they prayed. And the next time I went to the doctor, they were looking for the glaucoma, and they kept looking and kept looking and kept looking and couldn't find it. And I remember sitting there very confident, swinging my legs in the chair, like, I had faith the size of a mustard seed. You're not going to find it. And to this day, they found other things, but they have not found glaucoma ever again.
Oh, wow. Hey, just for a moment, I wanted to interrupt you. So no, the video has not messed up. This is an intentional interruption. Just for me first to say thank you, because if you've gotten to this point, that means you're still watching this interview, and hopefully you're hearing some things that are helping you, encouraging you, inspiring you. But I thank you for taking the time to listen, to get to know some of these amazing people, and to be encouraged and inspired by their stories. Second of all, I want to give you an opportunity to partner with me. If there is something that you think you can offer to this platform, either hands-on if you're local to the Greenville area, if you know some guests that you think I should interview, or if you see the transitions that we've gone through from when I started with Women Who Win and now doing this in my own space, and you say, I want to support that vision, I want to give to it, we welcome any type of support that you have to give. We also are going to have opportunities for organizations and businesses. You don't have to be local to Greenville, but we can spotlight you during our show segments. If any of that sounds interesting to you and you want to participate, shoot me an email. I'm going to put the email address on the screen, and I want to give you all of the information on how you can partner and connect so that we can keep bringing these people before you, sharing their amazing stories, offering them a safe space to share their journeys, and to also help encourage you along yours. So thank you again for listening, and now back to this interview. I have to ask, with seeing God do that for you at a young age, how did that guide your life of faith?
It didn't really guide it until much later.
Okay.
Much later in life, I have to admit that. I still went through all the human factors of, being bullied, making the wrong decisions, running in the street, not doing what you're supposed to do, being a delinquent teen, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I was out there.
Not delinquent?
Yeah, I was very delinquent. But part of it was because in my mind, being a normal kid meant being with the cool crowd.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be normal. And so if that meant, being
in
involved in
trouble.
this and being involved in that, I was wide open for it. But later on in life, when I had to really pull tenacity in my life to overcome in different areas, having children, being a single mom, being divorced, trying to start a business, failing, at the beginning of that business, I would revert back to, first of all, you can still see. Second of all, God has shown you that if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, he can step in and fill in the gap of the areas that you can't do yourself. So later on in life, that does resonate with me more so than those early years.
Yes. So how did you find yourself in the HR arena? At what point did that become a desire?
It wasn't. So a lot of people don't know, but I actually graduated high school when I was 20 years old. I finally got my act together. But when I went to Spartanburg High School, they realized I was 18, so I was a grown woman.
Wow.
And they said, we want you to have a job. So they sent me to vocational school, and I had a 2-year certificate in accounting by the time I graduated high school.
Okay.
So I loved accounting. I mean, I told my family, when you bury me, put a 10 key in the casket, because I wanted to come with me. So I started off as a bookkeeper, and then bumped into a position in the personnel department. Now I'm telling you how old I am. It was called personnel. And my job was just to give out applications and answer the phones. And I just wanted to continue to grow in that space. Year and a half later, I was the HR manager for a major nonprofit in Spartanburg.
Oh, wow.
And so from there, I just took it and just kept going to different industries until I ended up deciding to start my own HR consulting firm.
Yes. So having to made the switch from accounting to now you're in HR, what made you say, yes, this is what I know I want to do now, even to the impact of creating my own business under this umbrella?
Right. I didn't realize it, but at the time, but I'm a change agent. I love bringing impact, and yes, I can balance, reconciliations and all of that down to the penny. But I didn't really feel like I made a difference in anybody's life.
Honey, accounting is a whole nother language.
It's a whole other language. I highly respect the people that do it every day.
Yeah.
But being in HR, I got to deal with people in different areas of their lives. You know, to see a grown man cry because I helped him get a job and he didn't know what he was going to do to feed his family or to pay that mortgage, or that single mom who, you know, needed to take care of her kids, or that person that really was going astray, and I saw my old self in them, and I pulled them to the side and say, you got to get it together, pull your pants up, or pull your skirt down lower, or you know, tone it down and be more professional. And seeing them take that advice, that mentorship, and to become the professionals that they are today, that is what made me love HR, was being a change agent.
So what did you already how did you develop the skills to build a business? Because being in leadership in someone else's firm, being an HR director, HR manager, but now being the president of Ava Smith and Associates and FlatFee Recruiting, getting ready to say it wrong. Where did the skill set come from to be able to lead at that capacity?
It came from a lot of mistakes and failing over and over and over.
Okay.
So one thing I don't do is I don't pretend to have walked into entrepreneurship just having it all together and knowing what I was going to do. August the 2nd, 2002 in Spartanburg, I had a beautiful office space that I had painted, and you know, that was back in the day when we had wallpaper. I had wallpapered it, and I remember sitting at my desk. I mean, I had a huge office. The front was just full of cubicles.
And at this time, you still working for someone else?
No,
this was yours. Okay.
Faith.
Okay.
My office was in the back. It was really a large closet that I made my office. But I remember sitting there thinking, okay, now what? I've got the building. It looks nice, but what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
And so I just ventured out and just tried things that did not work. Learned a lot of lessons until I entered into the world of being a chamber member. Then I understood what a chamber was, how it could help you. So I learned a lot of business acumen. I understood how to network and build relationships. Still made some mistakes, but I had a stronger footing. And over time, just built a reputation of integrity, caring for people and their businesses, wanting to help them grow. And so I thrive on being a part of someone else's success story. That really pumps me up. And so just learning the craft over time and having mentors who cared enough to see me succeed to help me make less mistakes, which is why I try to help other people make less mistakes. That's kind of what attributed to me becoming the strong businesswoman that I am today. It wasn't that, you know, I had a formula. It was I got tired of failing and began to ask the right questions and became hungry for knowledge.
Yes, yes. I love it. I love it. So I think you've kind of defined your purpose. You said you feel like you're a change agent and you like to be a part of celebrating stories of others. So when you think about the journey and the process, you know, being a single mother, being an entrepreneur, you mentioned being divorced. What would you say as you built business, as you nurtured your children into becoming young adults and teenagers, what have been some of the notable pain points along your journey, either personally or professionally?
Yeah, so some of the pain points was understanding that one of my strongest characteristics about myself is I'm a relationship builder. And so what I've learned the hard way is you can be a relationship builder, but you also have to have discernment.
Oh, that's good.
Because the lesson that you learn after the fact, when someone has hurt you, or the expectations of reciprocity in those relationships, whether it was personal, whether it was business, even with my children, you know, I expected them to, you know, show me things the way that I wanted to see it, versus me looking for them to give me the way that they saw it. So even in motherhood, learning that discernment is everything. Even in business, you know, I have had to learn just because it's a good thing doesn't mean it's a God thing. So I've accepted that awesome contract, like, oh my God, thank you, Jesus, this is what I've been praying for. And it has been the biggest nightmare. Or that small business that is like, yeah, I'll help you, ended up being the most introductory inroad to other contracts. So you have to just use a lot of discernment to make sure that whatever you do, that it's a God thing, not just a good thing.
Yes, yes, I love that. I love that. So outside of being a change agent and helping people transform their lives and become better, both professionally, and I'm sure that also impacts their personal life, what would you say that Ava is passionate about?
Ava is passionate about legacy. So my father passed away January of 2022, January the 10th. But January the 1st, my success word of the year was success.
Wow.
Well, when he passed away, then it resonated with me, all that he left behind within us, with everything that he imparted to us. And then I changed my word to legacy. And so then it changed my lens of how am I spending my time? If my day came today, what am I leaving behind? So even choices I made on certain committees, well, when you join this committee, what's going to be your legacy? When you're gone, what change would you have made? In relationships, you know, I don't want to just take from people. What am I giving to you? What am I imparting? You know, if Ava left today, like, what is the story? What is the legacy that she's leaving behind?
Right.
And it's kind of helped me tweak things.
Yeah.
Not just to be a good doer, but am I leaving behind something that can potentially translate from generation to generation? And so that's how I've been trying to move recently.
So thinking about legacy, and I'm glad you mentioned that at the top of 2022, your word for the year was success until the transition of your father, and sorry to hear about the passing of your father. What have you had to tweak along the way as your business grew, as new things came along? What were some of the things you had to change about maybe how you did things personally, whether it was time management or professionally, like you said, you know, discernment in relationships? Was there something that maybe you were holding on to that growth said you got to let this go?
Absolutely. And it just really hit me like a ton of bricks. Actually, January of this year, January 2024, I made the decision that if I looked at my life, I've imparted a lot. And I've helped a lot of people. I decided to turn my family-owned business into a family-owned enterprise. I've done that through Anderson University's Family Enterprise Institute, and just made things just kind of go up another level. So now my daughter 𝘓𝘧𝘓 is over operations, and in doing that, I thought, you know, you might look young and feel young, but girl, you're gonna be 55 years old. And so I thought, you know, I've got to leave a legacy for myself as well. So of course, as a business owner, that means a great retirement plan, and to have what you've built for 23 years give back to you.
Yes.
So in order for me to do that, I had to give myself space to build the business to that point, so that when I do decide to hand over the baton in 10 years, because I'm going to drop it like it's hot in 10 years. I'm just telling all of y'all right now.
The plan is in place.
The plan is, the ball is moving. I'm going to drop it like it's hot. I still have to have an infrastructure where my daughter has a successful business to inherit, but the business is paying me for all the years that I've sacrificed and paid into it. So I've started with the word no. When people have asked me to join certain things and do certain things, I would love to. However, I've got to leave space to grow my business. And just not feeling guilty about it. My bio used to say current. It now says former.
Yes.
Because it's like I appreciate the opportunities to do this and be a part of this, but I've got to dig deep and so deep into the businesses that I've started so that it can take care of me. So before, you know, you couldn't have paid me to do that. But now I'm understanding that being a good steward over my business doesn't mean that at the end of 30 years that I have to be standing there saying, welcome to Walmart. I have to make sure that if I am using the name of my company as a kingdom business, that it ends up being a kingdom business, not something that was for naught.
Yes.
And so I'm really taking that serious and focusing on building in this last 10-year span of me being an entrepreneur.
Yes. So the enterprise in and of itself, so is that Ava Smith and Associates, and then FlatFee Recruiting is just a part underneath that? Or
So they're two different businesses. So FlatFee Recruiting is the permanent placement recruiting firm, totally separate company. Ava Smith and Associates is the HR consulting firm. So sometimes when you have multiple businesses or multiple tracks of income, you know, it kind of goes like this and you just let it fall where it may. What I'm intentionally doing is taking it from being equal and doing this. So I'm building FlatFee Recruiting, decreasing Ava Smith and Associates, because this is the legacy business that will be run by, you know, my family for generations to come.
Okay.
I still want to be a change agent. I found some ways to do that, but within the right time management scope. But I am being very intentional of making sure that I'm building and making a change the right way.
Oh, wow. Wow. I love it. I love it. So when we think about Life Speaks, it is my life's mantra. People walk in and was like, I've had several people ask me, so is Life Speaks your brand? Well, it was the title of my first book, and then God just kind of made it my life's mantra because I see him over and over again in my life do things that I couldn't have written the script myself if I took a pen. I couldn't have written it any better than he allowed it to happen. And I believe he does that for all of us when we just kind of show up in spaces and, you know, he whether it's causing a connection, a chance meeting, you end up at the right place, right time. Some people call it coincidence. Some people call it luck. I just say, you know, God knew where I needed to be and how I needed to be. So when you think about your journey and your life, is there a moment that stands out to you that Ava had nothing to do with it other than just being Ava and God wrote a beautiful script?
Yes. So I left Jersey in '87.
Okay, so that's originally where you're from?
I'm originally from New Jersey.
Okay.
That's where I was the delinquent.
Okay, so
I ended up in South Carolina.
Running wild in the north.
Yes, in the north. I'm not going to call their names out because they're probably watching, but we ran a little wild. Ended up here in Spartanburg around my awesome family. That's where all my family's from.
Okay.
So ended up around my real family.
Okay.
And began to build those relationships there. Did not go back to New Jersey, never intended on going back to New Jersey until 2016. My father had a stroke.
And your father was still in Jersey?
My father was still in New Jersey at the time. So my sister and I hightailed it to New Jersey, obviously, to see him, be with him, whatever. So I reconnected with one of my brothers. I call him my god brother, and he was showing me around, and I wanted to go see my previous apartment complex. And so when I saw it, I said, I've got to get out. Just give me a second to get out. And I stood in front of this apartment complex. And the pivotal moment for me, which was a pure spiritual moment, is as I looked at the door, it was like I had just walked out of that door as a 17-year-old and just turned around. I could feel everything about her. I could just feel who I was in the moment. Simultaneously, though, I could feel me, the current me. And I was talking to her saying, you have no idea how God is going to change your life.
Oh, wow.
You have no idea that you're going to leave New Jersey, you're going to go to South Carolina, you're going to have beautiful children, you're going to have, you know, businesses, you're going to be a part of a ministry, you're going to speak life over people, you're going to have a testimony to share to young people to help them build themselves up and become better. And for me, the pivotal moment was I knew that I was gone. I knew that I had changed, but there's nothing like feeling the change. And had I not gone back and I didn't feel that change, I wouldn't have gotten the closure. I wouldn't have gotten an understanding of the power of reflection and reconciling things in your life. Because when we left, I felt so different. But what God showed me later was, okay, that was that you talking to this you. I have another you waiting on you to talk to the one that you are right now.
Oh, wow.
So now I have that to look forward to.
Yes.
And I understand it can happen because as a 17-year-old, I never in my wildest imagination would have thought that I would be this Ava. So I'm excited, like, well, what is the next Ava going to be? I know she's going to drop it like it's hot in 10 years, but what will my life be, you know, beyond what I'm doing right now? So it keeps me excited, and it was one of the best pivotal moments that God ever gave me.
So when you did that, did you actually verbally speak out, or was it your thoughts? And because you were picturing yourself at 17-year-old, so you were having this conversation inwardly, or did you speak out?
It was inward.
Okay.
I felt like I was a zombie. Like when I got back in the car, I was just stunned. I was just very taken aback. And I just felt so full, just very, very full, and just so grateful. But it was just, you know, you hear the phrase out-of-body experience, and it feels like a cliche type of thing.
Yes.
But I'm going to tell you something. When God takes you to a mountaintop and he shows you something, hang on to that moment, because it resonates with you, and it has since 2016. I'll never forget that moment as long as I live.
Oh, wow. Wow. Beautiful. Beautiful. So I know you have 2 daughters. You have 2
And a
daughters and a son. Okay, yeah. So what has your becoming process as a woman required you to teach your daughters as they become?
To make sure they exercise self-care. And that loving people doesn't mean that you have to lower love for yourself or to stop loving yourself. That was something that, especially my oldest daughter, 𝘓𝘧𝘬𝘴, she's very much similar to me. My youngest daughter is better. She doesn't really, you have to earn her trust. You have to earn it. My oldest daughter had to evolve into being like that because she's just very open and loving. And so, much like myself, you know, she had to learn how to have self-care, self-love, set boundaries, so that you can live for you, like while you live for others. Because we sow into people and we lift them up and we love on you and things like that. But just to make sure you don't get lost in doing that. So I see her mastering it. It makes me feel good because she's, you know, early 30s. You know, I was 49 before I was finally like, you know what? Boundaries.
Right.
It took me a long time. So I'm really glad that even in her watching me go through some things, that she understood that had I set certain boundaries, that certain things would have, you know, happened to me. And then, you know, the youngest, she's feisty like I was when I was her age. So it's like, forget mom's testimony, forget her testimony. She didn't do those things. But she's like, no, I can change, but I'm gonna do it later like you did. So it's a unique dynamic. It's a unique dynamic.
Yeah, you get to see yourself in 2 facets.
In 2 facets. And I get to pray twice as hard.
Good, good, good. So I'm glad you mentioned self-care. So when you are not running your businesses, being mom and grandma and all of the hats you wear, what is it that Ava likes to do to care for Ava?
A couple of things. I do like the moments that I go to, you know, get the nails done and the pedicures and the bubble baths and all those types of things. But I have to say that because of my love languages, I love spending time with my partner. He's very different from me in a lot of different ways, and I didn't realize that the opposite attracts thing is really true.
Really?
So having that yin to your yang is pretty important, and because he enjoys some of the same things like nature and quiet spaces and scenery and things like that. It helps us both become centered. But because I have the right partner, that yes, I can offload and vent Monday through Friday, but on the weekends, knowing me well enough to say I'm taking you to this space so that you can woo-saw and enjoy and soak in, and understanding that I need that recharge, that really has helped me. And so I would just tell people, especially if you're an entrepreneur, gotta have the right partner. You just have to, because it's difficult, and it can be lonely at the top. It can be lonely at the top. So that helps you with self-care, because he will even point out to me sometimes, you need to take a deep breath, you need to get away, you need to recenter, and having somebody else that can see it outside of myself is important.
I love that you mentioned that, having the right partner, and considering the stigma that is out about, you know, women in relationships and how we can't, you know, come together. Have you had challenges with friendships?
I have. And part of it, I think, is because we as women, we are more open in the ways that we evolve in our life. Like, we don't mind saying, I've changed, I'm different, I'm evolving. I think men do evolve, but they are so focused on protecting and providing that they may not openly show those other parts of them that are changing, whereas women, we do. I think where we kind of fall short sometimes is that we don't leave a lot of room for our sisters to evolve and be them without apology. And so sometimes we hold grudges because that's not the way that we used to do things, or, oh, now that you have this, or now that you've done that, or you achieved this, Give us some room.
Yes.
You got to give our sisters room to become.
Yes. Yes.
And just if you love me, and if you're my friend, and if you're my sister, you're going to root for me. You're going to acknowledge the space that I'm in, and I'm going to grow my way. You're going to grow your way, but we're growing, and that's a positive thing.
Yes.
So I love sisterhood.
Yes.
I think that you just have to make sure you have the right people that are open to the changes that you choose for yourself and that God chooses for you.
That's good. That's good. So as we get ready to wrap up, how can people connect with you? You know, whether it is through Ava Smith and Associates, or you know they are looking for permanent placement through FlatFee Recruiting. I don't know why I'm struggling with that word.
It's okay.
Like FlatFee
Most
Recruiting.
people say flat fee, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna charge you.
So, what ways can we find you online or social media? What ways can we connect?
So if you're looking for quality employees, you would want to come to FlatFee Recruiting. It's a unique business model. I don't charge 20 to 30% of someone's salary as the placement fee. It's a small flat fee based on the number of employees that you have. Very, very affordable. You can go to flatfeehiring.com.
Okay.
You'll learn what you need to do if you're a job seeker. You'll learn what you need to do if you're an employer looking for someone. So that's where I would send you there. If you're looking for some HR support, you can go to my email address and email me directly, ava@your, Y-O-U-R, Full Cycle HR. I will guide you on whether or not it's a project that I can take on or whether one of my other associates can take it on. Don't want you to not reach out, because we want you to be okay with HR. It will cost you dearly if you don't have the right HR practices. So just email me directly, and I will guide you on whether or not it's something I can assist you with or one of my other associates.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to ask you one more question, but I also go ahead and prep for this one so you'll know what's coming next. I would like for you to share some words of encouragement or inspiration. It could be for the young woman who doesn't know that, you know, 20, 30 years from now, her life is going to be totally different, and, you know, she's enjoying the moment a little bit too much. It could be for the aspiring entrepreneur. It can be for the single mother. Whatever's on your heart that you would want to share, we want you to look in that camera and share that. But before we do that, my other staple question that I ask all my guests, because I love music, and you know, you heard music playing when you came in. I always like to ask people, if you had to name a song that describes this season of your life, what song would that be, and why that song?
I would say it's the song, God is Doing a Great Work.
Okay.
Because I feel like He's doing a great work in me.
Okay.
I do. Now at the end, I'm throwing up the volume, I'm stomping in the car, I'm breaking it down. But I do feel that, and it's a good thing, because sometimes we don't know if we have a purpose, or we don't feel the purpose working. But it's a reassurance type of song that God is doing a great work in you. And it falls in line with my favorite scripture, Jeremiah 29:11. And just, you know, if you don't know anything else, just know that He does have great plans for you. And those plans are always positive. He's not planning to bring you down. And so when you let that song just resonate in your spirit, that God is doing a great work, it inspires you, because great work sometimes comes from the sand. So little grains all the way up to poles and steel. So whichever mode you're in, it's still a part of God doing a great work in you.
Look, now that was almost the encouragement, inspiration. I know you got something left, but that was good.
That was good, wasn't it?
Thank you for sharing that. So whatever words of inspiration or encouragement you want to leave from any facet of your life, if you don't mind looking at that camera and leaving some words for us, please.
Right. So I've shared, as we were talking, about the little girl that heard that she was going to be blind by the time she was 10, and the journey just to feel normal. What helped me to move forward was going back and talking to that little girl. And so I would inspire you, I would encourage you to write a letter to your younger self. Most of us have experienced something as a child. There's still that little girl in you, there's still that little boy in you that needs to be healed, that needs to know it's okay, that chapter can close. So my homework assignment to you is write a letter to your younger self. Let that younger person know it's okay. let that younger person know that you've moved on, so that their heart can be healed and you can move forward to a higher level. So I think you'll find it inspiring. I think you will find it encouraging. I think you will find a sense of closure, and it leaves space for you to be able to fill it up with something else bigger and better for your future self. So that would be my assignment to you.
Thank you. Thank you. So you gave words and an assignment. I love it. I love it. So, and I will also add to that, if you do the homework, which I hope that you do, you know, we shared Ava's email address earlier. So let her know what results that you got from that, or you can, you know, my email address will be shared earlier in the episode as well. You can let me know and I can forward it to her. But the fact that she's come and she shared her journey, the highs and the lows, and we heard her say she's a change agent. She likes to be part of the success story. So I'm sure that there was something that she said here today that not only challenged you, but also encouraged you in your forward movement on whatever journey you're on. So Ava, again, thank you so much.
Thank you
for saying
me.
Yes and coming and spending this time with us. And for those of you that are watching, thank you so much for your continued support of the Simply Tammy Show. If you have not subscribed to the YouTube channel, you know what I'm about to say. Press pause right now and go subscribe, and then you can come back and finish this video later. We need your support on that platform, but I thank you for watching, not only on YouTube, but as we share the links on Facebook, Instagram, and our other social media platforms. Thank you for whatever platform you're watching this on. Continue to help us spread the message that we are celebrating stories on the Simply Tammy Show of God's divine providence in many other areas in our life. So we appreciate your continued connection and support. And until next time,